Hi guys, and welcome to another Random Platypus video. This one's going to be a bit different. Basically, guys on the forum have been looking and watching how the Hellboy Kickstarter's been doing. One of the things that they're sort of not sure about is the fact that it's the figures are made from PVC. So I thought what I would do is, as I believe Mantic have said, it's going to be the same sort of PVC as the Walking Dead figures. I would do a little look at the material that makes up the Walking Dead figures. It kind of makes sense to do it. So, and I am armed with my trusty cup of tea. Obviously, the original Random Platypus logo on that one. Rev's one is, I think I've got a couple spare if anybody's interested. Nice cup of tea. There we go. So this is the expansion that came with the original Walking Dead Kickstarter, and these are all the figures that are in that. So I guess I'll pull out a couple that are the characters and the zombies. A couple of them, because I can. Just trying to think one of the other characters. Yeah. Right. Oh no, probably this one is probably be a better example. We'll go with this one. Right. The only thing that I do wish that Mantic could do is team up with somebody to do foam or MDF inserts to their boxes, because a lot of board games seem to have MDF inserts. There's so many of these things. Right. So I'll find out where this centre is. About there. I'll try and just zoom in a little bit. So this is kind of what you're looking at, and it is PVC. Now, I know some people have reservations about them because they say they're a bit flexible. Now these typically aren't. They're a lot more robust. I mean, I could do a sound test because I think this kind of helps. If you drop it, you can hear that. You might think, oh, what difference does that make? Well, what I have done is I've also got some bones miniatures, because they are made from the same material but with a slightly different mix, I believe. So I'm trying to find some that are kind of comparative size. And you'll see what I mean by the sort of having a drop test in a minute. And also I'm just chucking a big one for squits and giggles, really. Yeah, some slightly different size. Right, okay, so Bones has also changed a little bit. I think they've tinkered with the mixtures, but essentially you can see on this one that the spears and the back are a little bit bent. Now a little bit of hot water. I'm not going to dip it in my cup of tea to show you. A little bit of hot water sorts that out. But for the drop test, watch. So you hear that difference? It's sort of a darker thud. This one is a lighter thud, and it rattles a bit more. Now I'm not going to try and flex this too much, because they just don't flex. So you can see the pressure I'm putting on there with my thumb, and it's not really flexing. Now the reason why I got this guy out is because he's got his gun, and that does flex. Now again, I'm a little bit more dubious about flexing these because they feel more plasticky and more delicate in that sense. I don't think they are, as in, like, I don't think they're as delicate as I'm thinking now, but I don't want to risk it because I quite like the figure. So yeah, whereas with these, like, look at that. I'm really not applying much at all, and you can bend them around. Now that's I like Bones for that. It means, like, people have donated them for the kids I work with at the kids home to paint and game with, and that's brilliant because you can get angry and throw them around, and they're pretty robust. I don't particularly want to do that with my Walking Dead figures because I don't want to test their extremes. But what it does do, with the larger the piece, the harder it is to bend them. So, and again, I think this is probably a later batch and it's a little bit tougher. You can see that I'm trying to get a shot. You can see that I can bend it, but you can see also that it's taking a little bit more force You can see the force in my joints there doing it. And it's the same with this. Obviously the ankles are a little bit, it's not even the ankles that are moving actually, watch. It's just well, a little bit. And then of course you get the big dudes, and then you get these, like the wires on them, and they bend really nicely, but I'll be jeffed if I can really get much movement out of them. However, I will say that there's probably still more movement than I could get out of an arm of one of the Mantic Walking Dead figures. So that's kind of like, and again, this one, you know, the thinner the piece, the easier it is to bend it. I'm really not hardly applying any pressure to that, but you try and bend the figure itself in half, it's difficult. So it's the narrow places. In a way, it's a bit like it's like the old higher lead content figures. The bits that are easier to bend are the bits you'd expect to be easier to bend. Where there's more material, it's more difficult to bend. So that I'll chuck those out of the way. These are different. Now again, let me get one back here. I don't know how easy this is to see, but the detail on these are nice, but not as crisp as perhaps you'd expect from metal or resin, excuse me. And you would probably expect that from the material, apart from anything else. You know, if you want really crisp detail, you know that resin is the choice for pro painters and display painters and all the competition papers. Resin is their go-to. If it's available in resin, that's where they get it, because it tends to be crisper for different reasons. Normally because it's closer to the master, but also just that resin is that bit crisper. Then it's metal normally, or plastic, like the hard plastic. But again, that's not, you know, not always possible. But then I would say PVC, especially with the bone stuff, isn't as high in terms of pulling through the detail as such. But again, like I say, there's different. That's why it costs a different amount of money. It's also why Reaper aren't stupid enough not to have these miniatures available in metal as well. But like I say, it's brilliant for certain things, and I think bones have a real place in the marketplace, especially for monsters and things with dungeons and stuff, and you can just throw them, they don't break. So comparison detail wise, this is going to be quite difficult, so I'm not sure how well this can pick this up. But you can see there's more, I'd say there's more detail on this guy. Come on. So yeah, I'm not, see if you can see the better of that. So yeah, in terms of comparison between the two, I would say the Walking Dead stuff is better. I'd also say that compared to, say, I haven't seen in the hand the latest Zombicide stuff, so I can't really compare it with that. But from like the original series of Zombicide, I would say these are a lot more detailed. They're not your typical board game piece plastic like perhaps Bones is. It's a bit harder, it's a bit tougher. It holds the detail a little bit better. And to be honest with you, when I first picked these up, I thought these were hard plastic, because they're the same sort of colour and they have the same sort of feel when you touch them. Now again, I wouldn't say that these are going to be, if you're a wargamer and you're used to things like hassle-free or things, other sort of good range figures that have got a nice high crispness of detail, I would say that perhaps these aren't going to match up detail-wise. But then you see you're getting quite a lot for your money. I mean, if you're looking at the Hellboy pledge, you're getting over 100 figures for less, you know, roughly about £100. They're less than £1 each. So for that kind of money, you're looking at the kind of Bones range when they did their Kickstarter. I don't know that it's so easy to complain when it's that kind of cost. So yeah, I would say that the material for these is quite nice, but it's going to be left up to you guys to make that kind of a choice, really, whether this is what you want or not. I'm getting it because it's a board game and I can play it with my sister and her partner, and possibly my wife, and possibly anybody else that happens to wander into the man cave. But yeah, that's the level of detail on these. I actually have got some comparison shots already, so I'm going to stick those on the end of the video so you can see that as well. But for me, the main thing on some of them is that, and I don't know if they'll continue because it's kind of like the style comics, it's a bit comic-y, but the heads are a little bit big, or slightly bigger than you would normally have on a Wargames figure perhaps. Some people have said it's down to the material, but then I'm not sure about that because the arms and stuff are all relatively nice. It's just a little bit chunky, I guess, like I say, like the comic kind of style. But then I don't know, again, they'll do that with the Hellboy stuff. So for me, if it's just purely about the material, oh, she's a little bit bendier. I'm willing to risk a zombie. She's just a little bit bendier. But it just shows you the robustness, I think. It's a piece that you're going to use a lot. They've got the best of both, I think. The detail's nice enough. It's a little, like I say, a little bit crisper than the bone stuff, but it's not going to be as good as hard plastic, metal, or resin. That's the honest review of it. But that doesn't stop me, and I don't think it'll stop a lot of people. Anyway, so that hopefully that'll help you guys to make your decision about whether you want to back a Kickstarter with PVC from Mantic. As opposed to having worries and concerns and it's too board game like, or perhaps worries that it's like the Mars Attack stuff, which is a lot sort of bendier and softer in detail perhaps, but for me these are spot on. So there, hopefully I've helped you a little bit. Cheers guys, have a nice cup of tea. Bye now.